advice do you guys have for someone who may be going through a divorce?
I would say take time to heal and take time to get to know yourself, spend time alone, and truly focus on what it is that you want to accomplish. And just know that all is not lost. Uh, in your next relationship, and should you choose to have one, never lose sight of who you are. Never give up your whole self to another person. That's not the point of marriage. I believe marriage is to bring two people together. When you go through divorce, it's in some ways it's like a death. It's the end of an era that you have just experienced, but it doesn't mean it's the end of you. It's time to reinvent yourself. Do the things that you weren't able to do in your marriage. Do the things that you've dreamed about and thought about, and just live your life. Just live your life the best way that you can. When we met each other, we weren't looking. He was looking for someone to talk to. I was looking for a product. But in meeting him, it's nothing that we scheduled. It's nothing that we weren't on dating sites. We weren't doing any of that. It just happened. So I just would say, don't lose sight of who you are. Get back to the things that you've always loved and focus on those things as well. And should you choose to have a relationship, be open to that. Explore, but don't ever lose sight of who you are. But you?
For me, part of the question was somebody that's going through divorce. Why? What is it that is that's making you have the decision for the divorce? Evaluating that and having real friends around you, real people around you that can call you on your crap. Because if you are the issue and you need to correct it, or you getting out of the relationship is not solving the situation, because you're going to take that to the very next relationship. And you need to have some real people around you that they're just not gonna, oh, you're the greatest, all this stuff, and it's their fault and all that. But they can call you out when you need to be called out. But they also can point out things that you're not looking at. Because I know I've evaluated from past where I'm like, oh, I didn't see that was going on. I was not aware that that was going on. And now, hindsight, I'm going, man, I wish I would have been looking for that. But sometimes when you are in a situation that you feel that you're in love, you are blinded to obvious warning signs. But, it then comes back to what are you looking to do? And so as far as with the divorce, I would say evaluate yourself, have real people around you, and just have a supportive group.
Okay. After you guys' divorces, did you ever feel you would find love again, or did you feel like, I don't want to do this anymore?
I felt that I would find love again eventually. My plan was to leave Tennessee and return to the state where I was previously living, which was North Carolina. That was my goal, was to return back to North Carolina and then just let life happen, focus on myself, enjoy being single and, free. I was about to be an empty nester with my one son, heading off to college. So I just was kind of open to whatever, but I wasn't looking to meet anyone. I especially wasn't looking to meet anyone here because I knew I wasn't going to settle my roots here in Memphis. So, but I knew that I wanted to meet someone again someday, but I thought it was going to be a lot further into the future.
I'm a loving guy. A lot of people think of me because I'm a big old guy that I'm a big old teddy bear. So I'm definitely that. I'm a lover, not a fighter type person. So for me, I knew that I would find love again. It was a matter of just being able to find the right person. And in that, it takes time. One of the greatest things that Ann had said to me in our 2.5 hour meeting in Walmart, because she was encouraging me, because I was hurting at that time, and she was encouraging me that I needed to start looking and going. And so she started explaining to me, she goes, you need to look at all that's there. And we just happened to be right by chicken, frozen chicken. She's like, you need to try yourself some chicken wings, and try yourself some chicken thighs, and then try yourself some chicken breast. She goes, there's a lot of different options out there, but you need to try a little bit of everything just to get an idea of what you want. So it's true. Sometimes you don't know what you have. Sometimes you need to try something else to see it.
We were standing in front of the frozen chicken aisle, and there was everything. Because I saw this man and I saw that he was hurting. I listened to him and what he was going through. He was separated from his ex and going through the process. And I hadn't quite gotten that far along in mine, but my relationship had been over for a while. But I saw that this man had such a good spirit about him, and I could feel his hurt. It was intense, and I just thought to myself, he's going to be fine. He needs to get through what he's going through. I could see you were figuring things out. He was coming to the tail end of it and starting to be open to meeting other people. And here is today his current wife encouraging this man to be open to dating. Nothing serious. I think we're both old-fashioned in dating, to take your time and to get to meet people. And I love that about us, is that we didn't just jump right in. I know it may seem that way on the outside looking in, like you met each other and then you were married the following, January 1st of 2020, but it took a lot of conversations, real conversations, exposing the good, the bad, the ugly about each other before we were ready to make that leap.
But we're both also very decisive.
Yes.
Once we know, and it's like we just go forward from there.
Okay, so to people who are in the dating phase and haven't even thought about marriage, what advice would you have for a person who is dating with intention?
I would say if you have a list, if you're sitting there with a list, this is who I want to find. They must have these things. What are you willing to sacrifice? Because finding the person that has all the things you're looking for seems like a manufactured relationship. I don't know that we build people. I would say be willing to have that be fluid and be willing to give up some things and reconsider. Always reconsider. Kind of like when you're looking for a job. If you have a job, you're always looking, you're always interviewing, it's fine. It's because it keeps you fresh and keeps your perspective changing and it helps you to learn new things about the field. Same thing with dating. Keep your mind open. Maybe you never thought of dating someone outside of your ethnicity, or maybe you never thought of dating someone who has a different belief system than you. But that could bring value to your life. So I would definitely say be open. That list that you have, that list that you may have had since you were a teenager, there may come a time where you need to rip that list up and throw it out the window, because you as a person grow and you change, and that list should grow and change. Now, there are certain things that are undeniable that you will never, never waver on. We talked about certain things that we will never, ever waver on. God first, family. That is non-negotiable. Don't ask me to do anything other than that in that order. So know who you are first. Know what you want. But also, let's not be unrealistic and be flexible.
Find yourself in situations with that person to find out who they truly are. That is very hard, because when you're in a dating relationship, both parties put on sometimes a mask or a front on who they are. Because, I gotta look this certain way, I gotta do this, I'm never gonna do this in front of them because I don't want to portray this part of me. But until you get to the place where you can see the real them, you would walk into the marriage not knowing the person. So if you're in a dating relationship, I would say find opportunities in your relationship to have dates that will see what that person's character is. You know, go help the homeless. Go put yourself in a spot where you're seeing, are they compassionate? Is it something that they're not going to get their hands dirty? Are they going to be one that is going to be right there by your side to fight? That's a huge one when you're at a place of marriage. If you're not going to be a person that's ready to have each other's back, where you're both backed up into a corner and you're like, you know what, we're back to back and we're going to fight the world on this. You don't have that person. There's a little bit of a sign there that you are a red flag, because you need that person that's going to fight. Because when finances come, when sickness comes, when health of family members or whatever, you need somebody on your side that's going to fight.
So you brought up a great topic, interracial dating. Have you guys always been open to interracial dating, or was it something that?
Why don't you go first?
For me, I've only had so many relationships in my life. This is my first interracial relationship. After I went through separation and going through the divorce, I wasn't, I'm going to look at dating somebody that was white or any ethnicity. I didn't have anything. I was really just looking for somebody that cared for me and that I could care for them. But that's a lot of, I felt like I was raised that way, that it didn't matter, who they were. Everybody has a heart and everybody needs to be loved. And so that was not a big stopping point for me, or for me to be able to have that as an issue.
For me, my previous 22-and-a-half-year relationship was with a Caucasian man, and I will say it probably has a lot to do with where I'm from. I'm from southeastern Connecticut, and you typically will date people that are in your social circles. So I went to school as a musician. I went to college as a musician, and in my college band, I was one of 2 or 3 African Americans at different years. When you start looking at dating, the people that you're most attracted to are people in that group. And I didn't have a lot of people growing up that looked like me in my circle. So, and my family is a multiracial family. So ethnicity never played a huge part in who I would and who would not date. That wasn't part of how I was raised. It wasn't something that my mother said, you must date someone that is your own ethnicity. That was never what my family taught any of us. It was, you date someone with a good heart, with good intentions, with a good soul that loves you, cares for you, not just in word, but also in deed. So for me, like with Tim, that wasn't an issue. Knowing that he had never had an interracial or interethnic relationship told me that he's going to have to go through something. There are some things
Which I did.
I'm going to have to teach and share with him so that he understands how this all works. Because, like I said, I was in a long relationship where, my ex-husband, we were together for so long since we were teenagers. We knew, we understood the game and how to navigate America with our skin color and with our absolutely beautiful biracial child. We were tested. He had not been. So sharing what I learned, I brought that education to our relationship to help him navigate how things were going. And he's also taught me some things as well, and his perception and how, we are both now, here in the state of Tennessee. How do we navigate this relationship together, knowing that we see love when we see each other, and everyone else sees 2 people that aren't the same color. So we've made it work, and we're not scared of it. We're not broken by it. We don't stop doing things or going places because of our ethnicity. We carry on about this life like everyone else.
Okay, you spoke on some of the challenges. Could you give an example of some of the challenges you guys have faced as an interracial couple?
Yeah, let's talk about going out to dinner. Just about every time.
Just about every time we go out to dinner, it'll be just, if it's just the two of us, we will be asked almost every single time,
Even if we're holding hands across the table.
is this on separate checks? And Anne loves to go, I don't know, husband, would you like to buy dinner for me? And it's just interesting to see how it is, no lie, almost every single time we are asked that question.
Let's take it to the grocery store, for instance. When we're in the grocery store, we'll be standing there together, and we're very, very affectionate people. We're pretty affectionate, just about all, always hugging on each other, loving on each other. And I don't think anyone that's really paying attention would ever guess that we're not a couple. It would probably seem really strange if we weren't. So as we're going through a grocery line, 9 times out of 10, they'll ask, is all this together? Just like the separate checks. So we've now turned that into a game. It would be so easy for us to be angry and upset by it, but we have fun with it. Sometimes I'll say, excuse me, sir, will you buy my groceries for me? Well, yes, ma'am, I will. Because it's just nonsense. It is absolute nonsense. When 2 African Americans, 2 Asians, 2 Caucasian people, man and woman, man and man, woman and woman, whatever, 2 couples are out, if they're the same ethnicity, chances are they're not going to be asked that question. But we are, and sometimes we just have fun with it. Sometimes we turn it into an educational experience that the education drops after we've already left. At least that's what we hope.
And I have another question regarding that. Do you notice a difference in whatever state you're in, like the South versus the North? Like, is it more accepted in the North than the South, or is the treatment pretty much the same?
Why don't you talk about our trips back to my home in Connecticut? Have you noticed a difference?
I don't think we've had any issues there at all.
No.
So, ironically, you would think that being in the South, that the place that people that we get the most looks or anything would be from people that are Caucasian or white, looking at us together. We get that, but here in Memphis, we get more from the African American culture than we do from the Caucasian.
And that possibly could be because Memphis is, majority of people that live in Memphis are African American. And I think when people see folks that fit the category of other, they're going to look. But as far as the way that we've been treated, and maybe because we live here, we spend more time here, we've had more negative experiences here than we have when we travel. We've traveled to Europe, we've traveled to Scotland, London, Rome, all throughout the United States, Mexico, and we live here. We're amongst the daily fiber, the fabric of our environment here. So of course I would think that we would have more experiences that maybe weren't as positive. This is where we spend most of our time. But when we go back to my home, not had any issue. We've had a couple of issues going back to Phoenix, Arizona, but again, it was, you can boil that down to 1 or 2 people that had an issue with us, or a perceived issue. And again, we keep it moving. All it does is strengthen us and gives us chances to laugh and tell stories afterwards. So it just rolls right off our shoulder.
But it is very interesting being, if we are not like right next to each other, and if we're in a crowd, how most people are not putting us together at all, unless we're standing next to each other and then they see our interaction and then they're like, oh, you're together.
Right.
But they would not think that the 2 of us are together.
And it's funny, we have been approached here in Memphis. He's been approached with people that think that they are, and I'm not going to get into politics, but feel as though politically he's on one side of the political arena very strongly because of his look. I'm not going to use derogatory terms, but you look at my husband. He has a very Scottish look to him, and very Caucasian. You're not going to deny that. Blue eyes and all of that. And they will assume by the way that he looks politically, he thinks a certain way, and they're wrong. And when they're wrong, he has a wonderful way of handling it. Again, he's a sweet man. He's gentle, but he's firm and not to be messed with. So he has a wonderful way of correcting people. And then again, we'll go on about our lives and our day, and we typically will end up cracking up laughing. Like, can you believe that person thought that you believed this? All because they didn't realize that he didn't, and they felt comfortable making those statements when we were within earshot of each other, but not like this. So.
What are you guys' love languages, and how do you feel your partner fulfills those needs?
We have about the same love language. One is physical touch. We both are acts of service, and those are really our two main ones. And it comes across in our relationship with each other, but also our relationship with others. And I was just having a conversation recently about how the thing that a lot of people may not know about us is we care very much for the people around us, our kids, individuals that a lot of times we will put ourselves second, simply just to help another person. And it's not because we want praise or pats on the back or any of that. It's just our nature. So that, I think, truly begins to be helpful to our relationship, because if you're constantly going the deny me thing, I me, even in a relationship, you're going to have a disadvantage to the other.
And I feel like our love languages, because we're aligned in that, very, very important. You know, if you've come out of a relationship where they were very different, there's friction there. Again, those of you that are dating, think about that. Think about those love languages. You can take those free tests online. I'm not going to endorse any one person, but you can Google it. But find someone that compliments you in those areas, because those are the areas that touch your heart, that touch your soul, that help also guide you through your relationship and your marriage if you get to that point. Because if we're both acts of service, or if one of us is not an act of service, when I see a woman broken down on the side of the road with a car by herself, and I say, oh, I really want to stop and help that person, if my spouse says, or my partner says, no, they'll figure it out. We don't have time for that. We don't have time. Who knows? They'll call AAA, or they'll figure something out. I'm left feeling uncomfortable. Like, I really wanted to help that person. Now we have a conflict in our belief system. I'm using a real life example. There was a woman that broke down in Atoka. We're driving home, and I see her on the side of the road, and I said, honey, I think we really need to stop. Without even batting an eye, it's like, absolutely. Right behind the car. What's going on? How can we help you? We then went and purchased gas for her, stayed with her. Turns out her father had just passed away, and when she got the call, she was leaving Memphis, drove all the way up to Atoka, never looked at her gas can, her gas gauge, and then on her way home, she ran out of gas. And we purchased the gas can, filled her up, made sure she got over to the gas station. My husband is a very good praying man. He prayed with her. We prayed with her. He led us in prayer, and we just loved on her, hugged her, and let her know that things were going to be okay. And she thanked us, and she went on her way. Now, our love languages were fulfilled. That was the act of service that makes both of us feel like, one, it brought us closer, and it was important because I got out of that situation when I needed to feel fulfilled, and he did as well.
Well, and that's just one story. I mean,
Yeah,
we've had
lots.
numerous times where we saw somebody that we could tell they were hurting or anything, and it was like it may be something was in my spirit that, man, I need to talk to this person, and I'll say something to her, and she's like, well, you should go do it. Or there was a lady that was on the side of the road asking for money, and she goes, I just really feel like we should. And I whipped out my wallet and like, this is what I have in cash. And you know, when you're with somebody and you're operating in some of those gifts, it's helpful that they are complementary to each other, but that you're open, because you may have different love languages, but find ways that you can complement them. And when your spouse is walking in that love language, try not to stifle it, but try to help flourish it, because that's how they love, and it's important that love is a priority in that relationship.
Okay, so loving them is easy. What does that statement mean to you?
Love it. The statement of loving him is easy. Oh, what does it mean to me? It means everything. I feel loving Tim is easy because I don't have to think about. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to manipulate it. I don't have to orchestrate it. I just have to walk into it and just truly be me. I don't have to give up myself. I don't have to be the strong person. I don't have to steer the wheel all the time. If I take my hands off the wheel, we are not going to crash. I'm just speaking for myself.
Man, I'm sorry. This is we get emotional on this stuff, but it's the fact that you have somebody that you know they're thinking about you, so that you can go, you know what? I'm not on my own in this situation. I do have this person that thinks about me, that cares about me, and that at the end of the day, if I'm hurting and I come to them and tell them I'm hurting, they're all about trying to help me out. It's not well, you need to figure that out on your own. You need to just get yourself figured out, and then whenever you got yourself fixed, then you can come back to me. But no, we've gone through some stuff, and we currently are going through some stuff, and because of that, there are many times where she's just hurting with something, and I'll draw her near, and we'll just hug, and I'm like, she's heard me say this many times. It doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter what it is. When we're together, we fight together. And that's it.
Okay, so I see a peacock on your shirt, a peacock in the background. What is the significance of the peacock?
Well,
You.
so a former pastor of mine, and I don't know if I should say her name, but a former pastor of mine from North Carolina, when she is such a wonderful educator, teacher, just a beautiful person. When she is proud of someone, proud of the work that they've done, whether in spiritual work, personal work, work on themselves, whatever, in the community, she had this saying, I am peacock proud of you. And that stuck with me. The significance of the peacock on my shirt behind us and throughout our home is because I shared that story with Tim, and we've agreed that we are peacock proud of each other and the love that we have. So the peacock is majestic. When those feathers open, they are just, you can't help but stop and appreciate them. And I feel like there are moments every single day, usually multiple times a day, where I stop and I think about how proud I am of him, of us, and just how majestic he can be. and it sometimes has nothing to do with me. It could be me overhearing a conversation with him, with his mother, with one of the children. Tim recently, unfortunately, his father passed away, lost his dad, and that continues to be very hurtful. But I'm proud of even his grieving process, because he does grieve. And as a man, he talks about it. He says, "Today I'm having a hard time. Today I miss my dad." I'm proud of him for being such a great communicator. So that's why you see peacocks all around us. We're proud of each other. The good, the bad, the things that we work through, we actually work through them. We don't bury anything. Nothing is under any of these rugs in this house. We're transparent. Like a peacock's feathers. You see it. It's right there. You can't miss it. So that's how we feel about each other.
Does the ukulele have any significance?
Yes, actually, one of our earlier dates. I had been self-teaching myself, how to play the ukulele, and it was just kind of a fun thing. And one day he came over to my house, and I said, "You want to learn?" Because I have more than one. And I handed him a ukulele, and I said, "Okay, this is a C chord, this is a G chord, this is an A." And I was teaching him these different chords. And then I pulled up a YouTube play along video. He was better at it than me. And I had been at it for months. So the ukulele is when I leave it out, and we pick them up every once in a while. But it's just a reminder that it's not a competition between us. It's just music is important. I'm a musician. He has one of our sons, my stepson, his son, biologically, is a musician, and my biological son is a musician as well. So music is part of everything we do. His mother is a musician. Sometimes we call her and sing with her on the phone. She's in Phoenix, Arizona. His stepmother is also a musician, and she's a wonderful piano player. So music is just part of our lives. For me, I wouldn't be here today without music, without faith in music. So that was one of our earlier dates, is playing the ukulele and him besting me.
One word to describe your love.
One word. I'll go first. Fantastic.
Oh, wow. You said fantastic. Wow. I would say sincere. I trust this man like I trust my mother. And I adore my mother. And I tell him all the time, "I adore you." And I don't say the things that I say socially or personally, privately, because I'm looking for likes. Our relationship is not trying to play out some TV show that we've seen, this romanticized relationship. I say the things, I do the things because they're intentional, and I mean it. I adore my husband, period.
So mine being fantastic, I just love her. I look forward to coming home from work every day. I come home and I go to find her, and sometimes she hides around the house for me to go find her. But I find her, and first thing we usually do is a big hug and big kiss. I love just being with her and having that love, and just the way that she shows the love back to me is fantastic. That's why I chose that word.